Hello. Oh, is my hi Josh.
Battery 80%. Connected to JoshCAD, ThinkPad.
Now it's working. How are you, Matt?
Doing all right. How are you doing?
Good, good.
Just booked all my KubeCon stuff yesterday, so pretty excited about that.
Nice. Where you staying?
Wyndham McCormick Place.
Oh, good.
Just not one of the like official venues, but it's close enough to walk, and that's what I wanted. So
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to find places down over by McCormick.
yeah, it seemed like everything is like 3 miles away, and I just don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, because McCormick is kind of separate from the rest of downtown. Have you been up to Chicago?
Not in a long time, but it'll be good. I have a younger brother who's a software engineer. He's actually going to be at KubeCon too, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, nice.
Hello everyone.
Hey, Antoine.
Hello from France.
Bonjour. Can practice my N's and R's. Bonjour. Hey, Marsh.
Morning, afternoon, evening.
Yep, all the above. We'll just give it a couple more minutes. Usually takes people a few minutes to join. Oh, Michael, how's it going, man? I'm just looking over the paper. Hey, Michael. Hey, Dominique. We'll start in 2 minutes or so. Hey, Abby. Good to see ya. Just keep posting.
Hello.
Hello. Actually, since you're here, Abby, I'll go ahead and mention I'm in 2 weeks. Red Hat's having a conference on this time, so I'd rather not shift everyone for me. So if you can run it next time.
What kind of fun can we have? Yes, no, absolutely. While the cat is away, the mice will play. Yes, no, we'll be good. Thank you for the heads up, but we should be good.
Thanks. One more minute. It's 11:03 on my clock here. All right, it's 11:04. Make sure I have recording on. Yes, we do. So let's get started. Welcome to October 10th, 2023. Platforms Working Group meeting. The notes are in the chat. So we'll just go through the agenda here. Oh, Ed, yeah, put your name in, please, if you're attending. Good way for us to track who's here. So we like to start out giving folks a chance to introduce themselves, share a story if you want. We can give you a couple minutes. Antoine, I know we were excited to welcome you, so if you want to go first.
Let me check if my boss is here. Yes, Thomas is here. So we are joining today Thomas Conté and Antoine Bermond. We are from the SNCF, not CNCF. SNCF is the French national train company. So we have 217,000 employees, and we are beginning our adventure on the private cloud. So we are going to build a platform for this trip. So here we come to find out what you did, to see what we can learn from it.
And what you're doing. And
Yeah, that's
hello.
great. Hey, Thomas. So I'm curious, have you read the platform's definition paper? Have you checked out the maturity model, which we'll talk about in a second?
I've started to read it. It's not
Okay.
finished, but I have started. What I struggled to start was with what I had to read. I had to find out what's the tag, how is it organized. So it's quite long to find out.
Okay, that's good feedback too. You found our website, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and the maturity model isn't published yet, so that's pretty hard to find unless you want to go through GitHub PRs.
I saw it. I saw it.
Cool. Yeah, definitely. Maybe we'll check in with you in a few months or a few weeks and let us know, your feedback on things and how we can improve or learn from you all.
That's the plan.
Cool. Anyone else want to? So yeah, again, we start the meeting. We like to offer, newcomers say hello, and if anyone wants to share a story with us, an end user story, a platform story, you could take 2 minutes. Anyone else want to go? I do see I think a couple new folks. Okay. So always open for another time. Yeah. Nice to see everybody. Okay, so the agenda we have for today is talk about the maturity model, current state. I want to share with you all what's going on with KubeCon plans. And then, so I was going to actually ask you, Abby, if you want to lead this stuff on the maturity model. And then Michael, I see you're here and that's awesome. If you could give us an update on the platform as product stuff, that would be awesome. Yeah, so with that, Abby, do you want to start us off?
Sure. I think we're sort of winding down, so there's not a ton that I'm planning on leading too much, pending feedback. But I guess there's just reinforcement that you can see the PR link there. I think that'll open to where I expect it to go to, which is a pull request. That pull request is a set of changes that you can see that's been getting comments and suggestions from people in the group on ways to update it. It also includes layout. So you'll see one of the more recent changes that I've done is try and make it a little bit more approachable as like a visualization where we have the intro and the visualization of the table. And then you can click on each section and it sort of appears at the bottom as like a tab. So you don't have, I don't know, it's like 15 pages of text or something, just straight in a scroll down. But I think this is improvement, but probably not the best we can do. So keep giving feedback on that. I'm going to start, I would propose that I start doing some more of the kind of finalizing stuff in the next kind of week or so, which would mean start turning this text into a PDF, start like preparing it for a blog release, about it and things like that, which would mean that the text would be sort of final for this version. I'll just be upfront and say, like, we're going to need to lock in a V1. I know there's always going to be things we can improve, but we're going to lock in a V1. So if you haven't had a chance yet to review it, I'd highly suggest doing that this week, because I think by next week we're going to start locking in V1 and then looking for any ideas of significant changes to come through as things we will ponder as we move towards a V2 in the future. Yeah, so how are people feeling? Is there any concerns with that timeline for people? Is there any things that people want to raise now that are better for this format of discussion rather than through GitHub?
I think it all sounds good. I've read through it a couple times, and I think, like, from my perspective, I think everything that needs to be there is there, and it's just like I'm any reviewing I'm doing is from the perspective of like try to make it read like it's one voice, you know, and kind of final polish. I don't think I have any substantive issues or changes I would want.
Just to say that's super high value. You're saying just. I appreciate your vote of confidence on the like content, the state of like the intention or the content. But yes, if people spot typos or if they spot changes of voice or tone or whatever, like this is exactly what we want to be catching now. We want this to read well. We want this to be an executive document, something that people can tell is being driven from that sort of level. So yes, thank you. is I guess all I can say. Yeah. Cool. I guess the other thing I noticed in the Slack to call out is one of the first pieces of work that we've actually already merged into main is that we broke the glossary out into a kind of separate location so it can be kind of superior to all things platform working group. So across the white paper, across the maturity model, in the future, across the platform as a product paper, etc. Anything that has been merged into main on this website should be up for conversation and improvement. And if you do have conversations or improvements, go ahead and create a PR if you have confidence in what a proposal might be, or an issue if you know that you want to talk about something but you don't yet have a solution for it or a confident like proposal for it. And you know, there may be times when we encourage that towards a V2 or like, you know, something further out, and there may be times when it can get merged straight to main, and we'll kind of see per issue raised or per pull request raised. But either way, the only way that we can improve things, whether it be immediately or through a next version, would be through that kind of process. So please do. Yeah, reading with fresh eyes is another super valuable and super powerful thing to be doing right now, because a lot of us have been working on this for a lot of months and are probably a little bit stale and a little bit, yeah. So that's a fantastic thing.
It was
Marsh,
pretty
I
cool.
have
to see some. Yeah, go ahead, Marsh.
I was gonna say I have a question about the glossary because I don't remember it being intertwined with the document. Was it, first of all, I guess, like how did the glossary come about, or am I just not remembering that it was already in the working document that we had?
It was in the platform white paper document, so it was already released.
Okay.
It just wasn't a part of the
I see.
the maturity model. And what we realized is that we were using some of the same language, and we were also introducing new language that maybe would have an equal level of value to be clarified.
Got it.
And that's why we pulled it out.
Cool.
So
thanks.
it has
And
not
then-
been deeply
Yeah.
reviewed recently. The last time it
Okay.
was deeply reviewed was like March. So the idea that there would be, you know, improvements and iterations makes a lot of sense. So yeah.
Cool. Okay. Thanks. That helps. I think, yeah, just to, and then as I'll do one more pass on the GitHub pull request. But I'll do that also with an eye to thinking about what words might need to be added to the glossary. I'll just keep some notes on that.
That
Cool.
would be amazing. That's another really high value pass through, I think. So
Cool.
thank you.
I think one of the reasons we broke it out was because, is it platform engineering that we didn't have listed there at all?
I think so. Yeah.
So one of the
it was platform capability, which is still not part of the glossary. We have done
we didn't add anything yet.
Yeah, Dominic, I was trying to stay away from fights in the PR. I just wanted it merged. So I just literally did a lift and shift, and then so that we could have the discussions around like what does that word mean in a different PR rather than having us sitting there in a world where the merge request would be merge hell with the movement of the documents. So totally agreed. We still need to, I expect that there's improvements to be made to the glossary. So go to town.
Yeah, but it was already a very, very good move to pull it out. So thank you for that. To
Yeah, no
react
worries.
directly.
Cool.
Nice.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I think that does me for maturity model. Yeah, thank you for everyone. Just I say it again and again for all the hard work. This is I think we've had over 40 people contribute their time to reviewing, adding content, providing feedback, all of that, and that's what's made it where it's gotten to, and it shows. So thank you to everyone who has managed to so far and will do in the future. So
Yeah, very cool stuff. Thanks for leading it, Abby, and yeah, it's really coming together nicely. Going through my head is if anyone is an expert in like Hugo and stuff, if people have suggestions for how to better lay out the site or refine our setup, please let us know. That's what I was gonna add. Okay. Yeah, so next on the list, KubeCon. We got the blog post up this morning. It says what our plans are there. I've talked about them before. We're gonna have a project meeting on Monday morning. Would love to see folks there. And then we're gonna have a booth. I think we're gonna actually have the booth the whole time, even though we only asked for the evening, but I think we're the only ones in that booth, so we should be there at least in the evenings and maybe earlier in the day. Perhaps more significant, one of the things we want to do with the project meeting and the booth is let people come and share ideas or lead discussions related to app delivery and platforms. So we've opened a CFP, a form. It's listed here in this thing too. I guess I should copy it in, where if you just want to go in and let us know what you'd be interested in sharing with us, and when you could present it. There's 5 slots there, a couple on Monday at the project meeting and 1 each day at the booth. Then we'll go through and we'll work out a schedule, and we'll share that. We'll update the blog post eventually with what's going to happen so people can come, and we'll try to make a good program for everyone to learn and grow from.
I think one thing that, sorry, just to add that we've have a few ideas for the booth and for things that may cost small amounts of money. So things like printing a few documents like we did in Amsterdam that can provide a physical thing to talk to associated with the maturity model and other work around the tag as a whole. We also talked about possibly doing something that connects this is at tag level, that connects the projects that are associated with the tag during that booth crawl, and like creating sort of a booth crawl. These things would cost, $100 to $200 maybe dollars to print these things and prepare these things. So I'm going to put a call out in the tag, and I'll add it to each of the working group channels as well for any companies that would potentially want to sponsor and provide funding or skill sets associated with designing printouts. Yeah, if that's something that you think your company may be interested in doing, start having conversations. That's going to be relatively low amounts of money, but still often has to go through channels. So
we'll put your logo at the bottom corner.
Yeah, that's what we did the last time. And yeah, so exactly.
And what you were just saying, Abby, like if we get, what I am kind of thinking is if we get like several proposals that are on a similar topic, we'll try to group them together and let everyone know, it's going to be about GitOps or whatever. I don't know. Very cool. Yeah, we'll have the booth also on Tuesday evening, which is when the big booth crawl is happening. So maybe we can coordinate something then. Yeah. Oh, and I see Antoine, KubeCon Paris. Yeah, we're just trying to get through Chicago. So yes, definitely. That's awesome that you're there. Yeah, that's good to know. But yeah.
My train is booked. I'll be there. I'm based in London for those who have only known me by this accent.
Nice.
So yes, we'll be there. We just aren't planning for it yet.
Yeah, we play at home, so it's gonna be easy for us.
I'm in Chicago for this one, so yeah, I'll see if I have any tips for you after. I live in Chicago.
So Josh, is there a listing in the link I shared in the chat for platform working group in the schedule?
It's part of Tag App Delivery. So yeah, where it says
Okay.
Tag App Delivery there, both on the Monday morning, we're the first one listed, and in the booth section, we're booth F41. We're at the very bottom of the list of booths.
Yeah. And who is also doing the duties like on the, is it a schedule for who will be there at the booth?
That is a good point. Thank you. I didn't remember that. So let me write that down. Yeah, we got a person in the booth, put people in the booth. So let me create a spreadsheet and ask people to sign up. Oh, populate the booth. What's the word for that? Yeah, so I'll try to do that shortly. I'll get a schedule up that people can say they're coming. So we'll make sure we have coverage. Okay. Next up, Michael. I know I've been trying to look over a little the platform as product paper. But I would love if you could just, give us an overview of what's happened so far, where you're at, what you need,
Yeah, it's okay. I understand it's platform maturity time. We'll get around to the focus on product later. Yeah, so we had a meeting on Thursday. I kind of did a very late call, and understandably, very few people showed up. So Abby put together a few invites. One is for this upcoming Thursday for research review around our, who we're going to be targeting, what the scope of the project is, who we're aiming to get, and how we're going to get them, the specific goals of the research. Out of that, I'm hoping to get folks who want to volunteer to facilitate some of this work around script writing, recruiting. Part of the ambition is to talk to platform responsible leaders, which means we'll need to go to our networks. I suspect not many folks are going to be responding to surveys anytime soon, and platform builders. Part of it is we're hoping to, once we get a few leaders through the door, we can get them to refer builders on their team, so we can get a more rounded picture of how they went about building their platforms. The focus is on, of the paper is on the, sorry, let me just pull it up, on the provisional and operational folks. So we're using the platform maturity model to frame out the audience and the focus of the research. And we want to talk to kind of the scaled and optimized folks, the ones who got over that product focused hurdle. The other part of this is we have a draft paper where we kind of articulated our ideas around what product thinking is and how it relates to successful outcomes. There's a draft of that. Folks have been commenting on it for the past couple of weeks. We're going to have a review call of that in a week, so next Thursday. And that's going to run on a monthly cadence. It doesn't need so much focus right now. Really, the research we get back after we go through synthesis is probably going to reshape what the paper looks like in the end. And then the research call starting this Thursday is going to run on a bi-weekly, fortnightly for clarification cadence. That's kind of where we are with it. So relatively early days. The hope is Paris. It's a little ambitious. It means we pretty much need to be in a really good place mid-January, right? Yeah. So
yeah, it needs to. We got to have it pretty like near beta content complete by January.
So that's, the hope is in the next little bit we'll get enough folks involved. There's enough tracks of work, that are complementary, but like have enough focus on their own that we need more people. So yeah.
Quick question. So this is informed by a survey. It's been run once before. You're going to run the survey again is the plan? Just want to make sure I'm following along first.
Sorry. Quick backstory on the survey. It came out of gauging maturity in the industry off of the first platform paper. And we kind of tried to get some of our stuff in to qualify the right people to talk to. Since then, our sense of our focus of who we want to talk to has been refined. So the survey might be useful to recruit builders, but because the focus is on the leadership, the leaders.
So what I was wondering is, I'm trying to wrap my head around what the
Yeah.
goals of the effort is my assumption was actually this is more like an annual thing, like a check-in on the state of platform as a product, basically like a data-informed snapshot of where the industry is and how it sort of smears across the industry. Is that may be a separate effort entirely? It sounds like that's not the goal of this. This is really about a white paper.
That's come up many times, and it's still kind of
Okay.
should we have that broader snapshot of maturity, something we can do with a certain kind of like annual cadence, let's say, as part of this work, or is it like an entire, at this point, like just a separate effort just around the broader platform work,
Right.
working group?
So just for me, just one point of feedback. Like for me, I feel like it's still not obvious what's the universal, if there's a universal platform as product approach, right? There's sort of principles I think that we've identified for the maturity model, but what is it like? What are the things we will see in the world as everyone gets better at doing this? That to me is almost more interesting than the platform as product as a white paper, more as a like over time we expect this to change and evolve, and this is our view of what's happening.
Yeah. So this first paper, the intent is this: we have some sense, to varying degrees, depending on your experience, of what goes into product thinking, how that approach to work leads to just better outcomes when you build anything, a platform as a type of product. We want to go into this research not asking people like, hey, do you do these things? Do you follow these like the right way to build product steps? All of that is behind the scenes. We have a journey of how these things should be as just our own internal frame. But we want to talk to these people who have been successful to understand what decisions were conscious, what decisions were unconscious, how much of it was culture, how much was it intentional. So we don't want to lead them to like, did you do these things? We want to know, what did you do and how does it map to what we think is right? In all of that is the research and synthesis work, right? That's all. Yeah.
Good. Like, so good. I love that. That sounds great. And it does feel to me like we should be doing this every year. Like we should be giving people insight into what their peers are doing. Everyone always wants to know, how could they be better and what is everyone else doing? And this seems like a way in which to gather that information, find people who are actually making a difference in companies and find the patterns and socialize those. I think what I'm saying aligns with what you're saying. Is that right, Michael?
Yeah, and I think both things matter. And
yeah,
the quantitative aggregate snapshot of many companies across the world and gauging maturity is something we need to do, but it's not the entire like focus of this, right? This is qualitative data. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess there's a flip side of this. I'm sorry if I'm speaking too much. There's a flip side of this, which is that I feel like anything we tried to say is platform as product will be out of date in a year. And I wonder if positioning this as the state of platform as product is a way that frames it in a that suggests, hey, this is what we know from talking to people. But just something to think about. I haven't been able to join your meeting. Sorry, the timing hasn't worked for me, but hopefully I'll be able to join the next one.
Come next Thursday, that'd be great. Because that's a big part of the conversation.
So one thing that, what Marsh was just saying reminded me of, and Michael, I wanted to clarify, like, I think one of the things with that original survey was the goal was not the survey itself. It was more to recruit people to be interviewed. And I almost hear from Marsh asking, like, could we create a running survey? Like we kind of advocate for in a mature platform organization, to gather that feedback.
I think this is what I mean. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's the whole discussion that we have, especially with Michael and me. Like, do we want to have the survey just as a recruiting tool, or also to get more insights, some quantitative metrics of some sort?
Yeah. So specifically, as it relates to this paper, like, we'll get the qualitative stuff. We'll see the patterns. We'll see what people do. Do we want to bolster that up with quantitative data, like broad range of people? This is what maturity looks like, or is that a kind of an unrelated effort, right? Like it shouldn't get in the way of the focus of this paper, but still, valuable work that needs to happen.
I think it's also something that's really interesting to think about what else exists in the ecosystem. So one of the conversations that came up in Slack today about like the canoe effort is like, well, it seems odd because like we're sort of in that space and now they're sort of doing that thing and we're both under the like the CNCF, what's going on? And I want to make sure we're having the same kind of respect for the ecosystem around us as we're hoping people will have around us. So the collaboration. And I think that there's my understanding about the Puppet State of DevOps report this year is it's going to focus on platform engineering, and their reach for quantitative data is going to be significantly higher than ours. And so I wonder if we can leverage instead of quantitative from our perspective, but instead I think have a really where our power lies is in the qualitative, is in the like end users who come to our meetings. Welcome, Antoine, and Thomas, and how do we get those, Matt, you're an end user as well, like how do we get those perspectives codified and shared and reinforcing the findings of these qualitative things. So just want to make sure we're not trying to recreate the wheel here.
No, that's funny, and that's a good call out. Like we don't necessarily need to lead the quantitative charge on like a snapshot in time of platform maturity in the space, right? That could be like a much broader collaborative effort, or whoever is best positioned to lead that, right? I think I agree with you. Like our primary focus is qualitative, right? It's depth on that context and what people are doing internally. That's those are the insights I think we're interested in. Yeah, so I mean that's kind of been, this is why it's been an ongoing conversation. That's kind of been my default position, is that like that is way more interesting and relevant within the scope of what we're doing.
Yeah, okay, that makes a lot. So the goal of this is mainly the recruiting tool and not the quantitative, like a persistent thing. But and it's not necessarily where we don't need necessarily do that. But if somebody is motivated, like that could be a separate project.
Yeah, and that's still part of the conversation. Some people may just want to work on like, we have that survey that I think we had something like 20 respondents. It didn't go out very wide, but it already started, giving us some meaningful insights. I think it also was like good validation of the kinds of questions we were asking, how we were asking them. It was a good way to get like a proxy snapshot from different angles of what maturity actually looked like, in the survey form. So if somebody wants to just continuously drive that and make it its own focus, I think that would be worthwhile.
Yes, Michael, I think I was chatting with the CNCF folks about that, because they recently, in a cloud native weekly newsletter, they actually mentioned some of the stuff. So actually I was talking with them, like, is it a possibility? So if we need some kind of surveyor, we can actually add and include the link in the newsletter as well, so people can actually see those as well. So that I spoke with the cloud native weekly team as well. So I think that's one of the way we actually talk about as well. And also I think like there's other avenues, specifically in the KubeCon timeframe in Paris. Like during in the booth of the platform working group, is there like Josh and other, like, is there an opportunity to highlight the stuff that Michael is actually and the team is doing on?
That is a good question. I was going to kind of bring this up, Michael. Like, so the existing survey, I think we have a few thoughts about it, but maybe we could do a postmortem. But even maybe you could, I don't know if you have like a summary of things that have been learned there. The questions did seem a little bit qualitative, so maybe we have snippets we can take from there, or we can synthesize something. If we feel like it's been successful in delivering those insights to us. And then one way or the other, what Saeem is saying, like, let's figure out, are we going to keep going with this one? I think we've been a little hesitant. Is it what we want? Is it getting the results we want? But that would be, if we think it is, then we could, share it more broadly, continue to build on it. So yeah, what's your thoughts?
I mean, I'm open to it. If there are folks who want to take another closer look on it specifically with that in mind of kind of doing a gut check of, are we getting the right information out of this? Does anything need to be refined before we send it out more broadly with enough time to collect that data before Chicago? Because I mean, I think it's mostly there. It's just the sample size is really small. Like with what we have now, I wouldn't be comfortable like posting this out and saying this is indicative of anything really, or at least it would have to be heavily qualified. But yeah, we can get if that's something that folks want to do, we can definitely get there by Chicago.
Yeah, it kind of seems like somebody would need to carefully go over the current survey, look at the responses, see what we've learned, maybe define what might come next for us, and then the way it seems to work, he probably like do a revision of the survey along those lines, and then bring together 5 or 6 people to review it and go forward.
I think before we invest more effort in surveys, I want to be very forward with the fact this needs to be GDPR compliant and like privacy aware from the beginning, which was I think a little bit late to the game the last time, and like will be a blocker to us being able to send this to people this time around, whereas last time I think we were a bit soft on it. So let's just make sure that we build that in from the start, because I think especially if we're looking at qualitative data, especially if we're looking at trying to parlay these responses into larger conversations, we need to be very upfront and very clear with people about like how their data is going to be used and how we're going to then solicit them in the future, because I don't think that's what people expect from things like Puppet State of DevOps report. And so if you're aiming for least surprise, aspect of least surprise, I think we need to be really forward with those ideas. So
yeah, like it would be great to like grab a quote and put it into the maturity model, but right, we have like people would probably be a little surprised at that, even if we did say something. So yeah, I agree, we did it very informally and casually. I think that's the main message here, is like we've been kind of hesitant to oversell it and overshare it because we're a little, is this the right form? Is it privacy considered and everything? And if somebody wants to like do that kind of overhaul and bring along people to make sure it's GDPR compliant, like that's a possibility.
Yeah, I think if this is something we want to do and we want to get there for Chicago, then I think we should probably have a separate call just on running through that list of like, let's look at the survey. Where does that need to be? How do we send it out? Let's put it through, GDPR compliance, make sure. Last time it was a light touch, it was a kind of a preamble at the beginning of like, don't worry, only 2 people will look at this, and these are the 2 people. So yeah, there's a lot of room to improve here.
Cool.
Oh, and I'll just quickly say, after this call, speaking of GDPR compliance, I was screen sharing our last call on the platform paper where we're running through some of these questions on research, and I made the no of screen sharing some stuff while I was recording, so I'm going to edit that video and then I'm going to post it out today along with the so there's one link for the paper, research, everything. It's going to be the central like place to navigate to any part of this work. If you just bookmark that one link to the work in progress platform as a product paper, that will be your way to get to everything. So I'll post all of that out along with the invites to Thursday and then next week.
Nice. Okay. The only other thing I did put down, I know we've been chatting about this canoe CNOE thing. I just was gonna say it's interesting. I mean, we've been talking for like a year probably about some sort of reference or prototype implement. I don't know that I love the term reference, but like a prototype implementation to help people out. Maybe this is, by the way, I didn't hear anything about it beforehand. I'm not really sure that it's a CNCF project, even though they do have a channel in Slack, because anybody can create I can go create any channel I want. So that doesn't really prove much. So it's not I don't think it is a CNCF project, but on the other hand, like, let's, in my opinion, I guess, be my, hold me accountable, because I tend to see the good possibilities here. If we can iterate and make it, make sure it's not AWS specific, then maybe this is a good thing to build on. Just wanted to share that and see if there's any thoughts these last couple minutes.
Hi, I just wanted to say I'm Christina. I'm solutions architect at AWS. I did not create Canoe, but I do work closely with the folks who did, and I have a lot of questions for them. So I'm going to talk to them and try to jump back here and propagate that information. But from what it looks, it's definitely not an AWS managed service or anything like that. It seems like it's fully open source, and it's just created to help people navigate the vast of the CNCF open source projects to create a platform.
Cool. Yeah, that would be great, Christina, if you could talk to them. The one thing that I think we noted is that at this point, it depends on EKS. It even depends on IRSA, IAM roles for service accounts. So it's a little AWS specific, but it seems like the goal is to make it, target several things. So maybe if you can find out if they're gonna work on that. I think they're gonna try to come to this meeting in a couple weeks too. So
yeah, I'll check. And yes, we do have at least my team is strongly opinionated about building a platform from scratch versus using the Kubernetes mechanics for building a platform. And I mean, we do use EKS, so like permissions around that are necessary. But besides that, everything else, we're looking for open source.
yeah, I was, because I've got, like, if you all want some platforms built on OpenShift, I've got tons of those. But yeah, we wanted to. I mean, I think it's okay to have a little OpenShift, a little AWS, but like we got to have the mainline one be open, totally open, in my opinion.
Yeah, and also like you can take this and lift and recreate it on another Kubernetes. Like you can do it self-managed if you wanted to, as long as it's Kubernetes.
I think two things that are interesting if it's being flown under the CNCF flag and as like a working group kind of thing, that I'm intrigued to hear how they're going to handle this is we've been sort of pushed not to be quote unquote kingmakers in other places. So in the sense of like, how do you like make clear what different projects do and those kind of things without being like, this project is the best project and therefore you are successful if you use this project and not if you use this other project. So I think that's something that we need to, again, if it was not being flown under the CNCF flag, then of course people are going to have their strong opinions and they're going to push for certain projects. Being flown under the flag might feel that be a problem. The other kind of question or concern I have when it comes to platform building is that it's very singular project oriented rather than platform building oriented. And one of the things we're talking about is like this platform as a product, and that like there's got to be this like bigger concern of like the builder of a platform's experience as well as the user of a platform's experience and how you create that larger picture. And when I look at the reference implementation and the example of the technologies, it's very like it doesn't talk a lot yet about how do you make this a product, how do you make this like something that is extensible and extendable within an organization. And I think that would be something that would be where I see the real power of having these organizations and user companies talk about their experiences, is like not just how do I configure this product to this project to speak to that project, but actually how do I create that experience both as a platform builder and as a platform user. So that's what, yeah, but this is all just the very beginning of like collaborating on this. And I think that the awesome part is that there is now like more humans, more companies, more people that are getting excited about sharing their experiences and platforms. And that's what like we need. And so it's awesome. But
Yeah, I noticed that it doesn't even say platform engineering or platform builders, which is okay. I mean, this was interesting.
Okay.
So wait.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure I heard that correctly. So what you're saying is the reference implementation that you saw is more oriented toward the builders, but not necessarily the consumers of that platform, and how the consumers be able to there's no section that talks about that, about the user experience, and also there's no section that talks about how those users would be able to extend and collaborate on this platform.
Right. Yeah, I think that it's the like when I look at, and I haven't read the whole page, I know there's a lot of things, like I do see there's a pluggability aspect and things like that, but under the reference implementation, like it talks about specific capabilities, which we talk a lot about in the white paper and things like that, like identity and access and secrets management and stuff. But I think platform engineering and platforms are all about like creating that experience, and how do you build those experiences? What are the and rather than, so therefore when capabilities change, when we introduce WASM, like it's not about, adding another box to the diagram as like now platforms should introduce WASM as well as all the other things that they do. Instead, it's like it just plugs into that idea of any capability that you need, you can deliver via your platform kind of setup and stuff. So but yeah, I don't know. As I say, it's a big conversation. I don't have any answers. I only have questions, which is why it's getting the people in the room, and I definitely am not trying to drive the conversation. It's more about having the conversation, and that. So yeah.
And you mentioned they're coming. You already talked to them. They're coming over to the next meeting.
I think they're coming to the session in 2 weeks, so which is awesome. So
okay,
we'll
perfect.
yeah, and I hope you can come as well, especially if you're trying to liaise a bit. Like, just make sure we get as little telephone game as possible between people.
Yeah,
so, but everything's recorded,
you.
so you can always read or watch back.
Yeah, awesome stuff. That was pretty exciting to see. Just kind of popped out of nowhere. Yeah, so we're at 11:48, so we're about ready to wrap up, but any other topics to bring up? I'll open it for a few seconds here.
One last topic, I think. Me and Josh will be doing a live stream on the platform maturity model.
I committed to Saeem.
Yes, how do I forget it? So it's on 17th of October, and anybody else from the team or from the group wanted to join on the conversation as well. It's all about having some visibility in the KubeCon. So if people talk about like what this paper is for, what these sections are, we actually spoke about in the YouTube the conversation, and then we get people share this link with the people so can actually watch those and have some learning resources for them. So anybody from the group wanted to tag with us or team up with us, please let us know. The 17th of October, we will be going. And thank you very much, George, for the collaborations.
Yeah, looking forward, Saeem. Abby, I may ping you about this, but I'm not gonna. That's all I'm gonna say for right now. I'll pick you in the background. Yeah. Okay, so I guess that's all for this week. Thanks a lot, and we'll see everyone online. Peace.
Thanks. I'll see you.